Hello, if anyone can hear me, if you could let me know in the chat box. Always have challenges with my microphone for some reason. Thank you very much, Nora, Tamra, appreciate it. We will get started in just a moment. While I'm getting things set up right now, if you could let me know what areas you're thinking of moving to, it'll help me curtail this evening's top 5 programs to different areas. If you're looking in southeastern Michigan, Detroit, gosh, last webinar I had people up north, Battle Creek. I think I had somebody from Grand Rapids. So I think I'm going to have a smaller webinar. We kind of scaled things back just so we can give people as much help as possible. Michigan, Detroit, East Side, like it. Thank you. Okay, any Facebook friends, YouTube visitors? Unfortunately, I am flying solo this evening, so it's going to be hard for me to respond to the chat. If you have any questions, I'll try to get to them as well. Okay. All right. A little after 7 o'clock. I always like to be respectful for everyone's time. I appreciate you showing up. I know in today's busy world, it's not easy carving out an hour of time, and I try to keep things to about 45 minutes and then some question and answers. After that, I will be here for as many questions as you have, so no worries from a timing standpoint. But I don't know how you are, but I tend to, after 45 minutes of listening to somebody talk on a webinar, I kind of mentally time out. So I like to keep it at that point for everybody else. So we will get right into it. All right. So my promises this evening. First and foremost, there is no sales pitch here. I am not here to sell you anything. I'm here to give you educational content. To teach you how to tap into some down payment assistance and grant programs so you can purchase with very little money out of pocket. We've all heard about all the different programs that are out there and how people were able to buy houses with no money down or maybe a few $1,000s out of pocket. I'm here to teach you that those programs do exist. There's a lot of them out there. I routinely get people into homes with less than a couple $1,000s out of pocket, even with less than average credit. Okay. So like I said, no sales pitch, 100% educational content this evening. I'm going to go over 5 topics tonight. The first one, there are over 2,300 programs across the country. Those are down payment assistance, they're grants, the tax credits I don't really do a lot with, but lots of programs out there. They all kind of change. They all have different credit and income guidelines and things like that. So I'm actually going to give you a tool that you can actually go in and see what programs are available in the neighborhoods you're looking at. Number two, I'm going to go over the qualifications of what most of them look for. So what does it take from an income standpoint, credit standpoint, asset standpoint? Number three, I'm going to show you how I structure these transactions so you actually get in with only a couple $1,000s out of pocket. And number four, how do we find quality homes that actually work with these programs? So I'll give you some tips and tricks there. And number five, most importantly, how do you get free, good quality experience? Because I think getting people across the finish line, it's all about quality representation. So I promise people, if you follow my steps, I will get you there regardless of your credit situation. So you're going to hear me say this a few times this evening, whether it's 2 weeks, 2 months, or 2 years. I've been working with people for, gosh, I've been doing these programs for about 10 years now. I've been doing the webinars about 3 years. So consistently for at least the last 6 months. So I just find that there is a big underserved community and a need, especially as the rental market deteriorates. Right now, it's a pretty painful process trying to find a good quality rental, let alone a good quality landlord. So with that being said, we're going to just jump right in. First thing I want to share with you, though, I'd like to give you some success stories along the way. This is one of my favorite all-time customers. Her name is Emily. Okay, I've got quite a few favorite all-times. You'll hear me say that a lot. But Emily is one of those people that would not be denied. She found the house she wanted. She took ownership of it before she even closed. She willed this across the finish line. She was able to purchase this house. It was actually on Freeland in Detroit. She used a 3% gift program. So they gave her 3% for her down payment, $5,000 to cover her closing costs, and then $500 for her appraisal. On top of that, tapped into the city of Detroit $25,000 program. So Emily actually got $33,134 in grant and down payment assistance money. Now, as long as she owns that home for 3 years, she gets to keep every penny of that. So that's a free $33,000. So she purchased this house for $117,800. She only needed $500 deposit when we got the offer accepted, and then she just needed $200 at closing. So that's a total of $700. She paid for a home inspection on top of it, which was another $400. So all in, she's probably about $1,100. So, but great quality home. But one of the key things that I will share with you, and Emily's authorized me to share her story with you, she's actually on a fixed income. So it's very hard. It's very hard to get deals done on a fixed income, but I do have some programs where we're able to do that. So don't let people tell you that income's going to hold you back. It's a tougher thing to get done. And sometimes it's like threading a needle, for lack of better words. But if people are committed, we're in it for the long haul, and we're here to help you do it. Okay. So very, very happy for Emily. And actually every now and then Emily comes to my webinars too. So she's like a webinar hound, I'll call her. So don't be surprised if she pops in sometime. Okay. Who is this evening for? Well, this webinar is for anybody that's tired of renting, tired of those rental increases we're seeing a lot lately, or landlords that aren't doing any repairs, or that might even be slumlords. There's a lot of landlords out there that are getting very lazy because the rental market is so challenging. There's also a fair amount of people that are experiencing the question of whether or not they're going to renew their lease. Or without fail, this time of year, I always have at least 1 or 2 people a month where the landlord sells the house from underneath them. So, and I get people that are just saying they're tired of paying off their landlord's mortgage. And then I had somebody a couple of weeks ago that had a reason that really struck home with me, because it didn't always, if it doesn't make sense to do something, I'm going to tell you that. But in her situation, she was only paying $700 for a 2-bedroom apartment, and her payment was going to come in. Gosh, I think it was $500 more than that. So it was going to be about $1,200, but she was getting a $150,000 house. But her main purpose was she was in a 2-bedroom apartment off Joy Road. So, the area is a little bit more questionable, I guess, for lack of better words. But more importantly, she just wanted to show her kids there was more to it. Okay. She was actually perfectly content where she was, but she wanted to show her kids there was more to life than being in an apartment. So for her, it was about building wealth for the next generation and showing her family that there is more to it. And if you work hard, there are some benefits in life too. So that story actually really struck a chord with me. So here's another scenario. This is a home that Daniel purchased. This was actually on Mark Twain. And Daniel's mother had passed away, and he purchased the house from the estate. And for him, we were able to tap into $25,000 grant. So we were able to use $20,000 of the money for the down payment, and then $5,000 went to the closing costs. And he was able to buy his siblings out of the house so he could stay in his mother's home. So, anyways, very happy for Daniel. Solid brick house on the west side. Okay. Next one. What are my goals? What are my goals for this evening? Well, my goals for you are to give you the confidence to schedule a call with me. Let me put this in the chat box right now. So this is a link to my webinar, or it should be to my calendar. Sorry. And let's get this in there. And what I'd like you to do, because after these webinars, my calendar always books up. Okay. And boy, my computer is going quite slow. How is my connection? Is the stream coming through well? If anybody could please let me know in the chat box. Okay. Thank you, Tamara. And it's probably just on my end. Maybe I've got too many things open here. Well, appreciate it, Nora. My question was whether or not my feed was coming through well for you or not. Okay, so I will get you a link to my calendar towards the end. Looks like things are running a little bit choppy right now. So my main goal this evening is to give you as much educational content as we possibly can because I find that knowledge is power. And once I give you that type of power, it's going to build some hope. And so to the point where you'll actually pick up the phone, schedule a call with me, and I can learn your situation to tell you what programs are going to be the best way to go. So I always tell people I love to schedule strategy calls, whether it's 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years, doesn't matter to me. Okay. And I find that there are a few things that really go into purchasing a home and using these particular programs. And that's what I want to touch on the next thing. We're going to dispel some of those common beliefs. Number one, that you need a lot of money. Okay. I'm here to tell you all of the programs that I help connect people with. Typically, you just need 1% of the purchase price. So if the house is $150,000, I can sharpen the pencil and get you in with only $1,500 out of pocket. Okay. So money in my mind is not the issue. The money is the easy part. That's my job. I'll find the down payment assistance and the grant money for you. The next thing is good credit. You don't need to have good credit. Okay. We have credits. We do credit scores all the way down to 580 on some of these programs. Right now, there's a program in Wayne County that will go down to 580 and give you $14,000 in about 3/4 of the townships and cities inside of Wayne County. The other thing is fixed income. We talked about that with Emily a moment ago. She got it on a fixed income, Social Security. So there's a lot of different ways to get you across the finish line when it comes to that. I just need to know your story. So I routinely help people achieve their buying goals by tapping into all of these down payment assistance and grant programs. My only ask for you this evening is that you go out to my Facebook page and my YouTube page and just follow me. If you go to YouTube, that would really, that would be preferred. And just subscribe, click the alert button. Anytime I upload new comment or new content, you'll get an alert and you'll be able to see what's new and what's going on out there. So let me see if I can get some of those links in here now for you. Okay. All right, here is a link. For some reason, I can't get into this. And I wonder if it's the image here. Let me try this. I think that might be it. Just got a little bit too much going on. I've just put a link into the chat box. This is my link. Just click on that and book a call with me. I always tell people my calendar fills up very quickly after my webinars, so please do that. And then I'm going to put in a link to my YouTube channel. If you could go out there and subscribe. Here we go. Whoops. Wrong one. What is my Facebook? I'm going to give that to you right now. Okay. Okay, here is the Facebook link. Sorry, things are going slow on my side here. And here is the YouTube link. Okay, so if you could go out there and favorite it, follow me there, it just helps build things. So the algorithms like it, they'll share my content with other people that are looking for the same type of help that you are. Now, before I forget, I work on referrals. Okay. So if you have any friends or family members or anybody that's looking for a house, if they're looking to rent, I get it. There's not a lot of rentals out there, but boy, I would love the opportunity to help as many people as possible. My goal is I try to get everybody pre-approved. If not, I want to get you on a plan that we will get you pre-approved, whether it's 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, whatever your timeline allows. So I usually on my call try to find out exactly what your timeline is. And I like to set some pretty reasonable goals to get you there. Okay. And if we can't, you're never going to hear a no from me. You're just going to hear maybe not right now, and we'll have to work on things a little bit. So believe me, I have a lot of people that I work with that we were almost to the end, and then life just gets in the way of our plans. And when it does, we have little setbacks, and then we just have to pick ourselves up and do it again. I mean, I've been there myself. So that's how I learned to dial into a lot of these programs. And I'll share that story with you in just a moment. But here's another story from this is from Tashiana. She actually purchased, this was a home on Rosemont in Detroit. She purchased this one for $123,000. She only needed $500 at the time that we got her offer accepted, and then $1,000 at closing. So $1,500, she was able to get into this colonial. This was a really nice house, new kitchen inside. She used the $25,000 through the Detroit Down Payment Assistance Program. We were able to use $20,000 of it for her down payment, and $5,000 went to her closing costs. So very happy for Tashiana too. Okay. Now, like I do get a lot of people that ask, why do I do these programs, or how did I get into this, or why do I do what I do? And I don't want to give you my resume, but I want to give you a feel for what really motivates me here. About 15 years ago, I was actually in the mortgage world, had a title company. I had a lot of things that in my time I thought was going right. But unfortunately, one day I had a bookkeeper that embezzled a lot of money from a title company, and it was a very hard fall down. It was a hard fall down because there was a lot of money involved, and unfortunately, it put us out of business. Which we were at one time employing almost 100 people, and that part in itself was quite sad. But at least I had a mortgage company to fall back on. So it really drained me physically, mentally. But it wasn't I didn't think at that time it was the end of the world. And so that closed up, and we moved on. At least we had the mortgage company, like I said. But a year after that, the meltdown happened. And we thought we were doing great because back then we were doing lending for people that were rehabbing houses. So we had a really nice niche product. But what happened was we actually had our big line of credit that we ran our company off of through Chase Bank. And unfortunately, without any notice, Chase pulled that line of credit. They actually took everything out of my personal accounts too, because they closed the account and I didn't realize in the fine print of the warehouse line of credit that we had that basically said that I was personally guaranteed for it, which I knew that part of it, but I didn't know that personal guarantee. They would actually go in and wipe everything out of my personal account. So that's one thing I do tell people. When you start dealing with these big banks, keep in mind, if you ever fall behind on a car payment, in those details, if you have a checking account with them, they can wipe your checking account right out. So it's always good to keep your money separate in different banks that way. Okay. I learned that the hard way. Well, after that credit line was pulled, it was a hard spiral down. And it basically bankrupted me, my family. I had 4 little kids at the time. It was very, very humbling times. But like anything, you have a family, so you have to move forward. Well, I went over to the automotive world and the finance world because I was just mentally just bankrupt from the mortgage and title world. And then at that time, I was rebuilding. Okay. I was just coming off of bankruptcy. So I knew I had to rebuild my credit. And so that's why I actually have a credit building class. If any of you are suffering on the credit side, think you need some help, please let me know. I do credit building webinars too, how to get your credit score up 60 points in 60 days. And I'll give you a link to that shortly. I don't have another one scheduled. It probably won't be till next month. But what had happened is when it came down to actually buying a house 2 years after the bankruptcy, we were going through it and we didn't have a lot of money. We were certainly rebuilding, but my wife, we had one little stray. And it was about $10,000 in a retirement account that my wife still had. And I will tell you, the lender, we thought we were doing a down payment assistance program. And the lender at the last moment told me that, well, I didn't get you approved for the down payment assistance because you didn't really need it because you got some money in a retirement account. And I'll tell you what, I still hear lenders say that every now and then, and it really irks me. So that person made a decision to take the last few pennies that was in my wife's name, actually. So it bothers me today, but every now and then when I refer people out to lenders and the lender takes it upon himself and goes, hey, John, you know what? They do qualify for that state program for 10,000, but they really don't need it. They've got 100,000 in their 401k at Ford. I'm like, that's not right. Okay. They're going to need that retirement money someday. Hey, I'm 60 now. And not that I'm going to be retiring anytime soon, but that 10,000 that they took out of my wife's retirement account 10 years ago, I guarantee you in another 10 years, if I have if I'm fortunate enough to actually retire, I'm probably going to be missing that money. So anyways, I don't like people making decisions for me. And when that happened, that's when I said, you know what, I'm getting into real estate and I'm going to teach people about these programs. So I started doing it one by one, advertising, one phone call after another. And then about 3 years ago, I found these webinars and then everything just kind of blew up. So I have a team that I work with. So my goal is to get you approved for these down payment assistance programs and grants. Okay. And then one of my teammates are going to get you in to see whatever houses you want. And then I'm going to help you negotiate the deals, structure them so you get in with just a few $1,000s out of pocket. So that's kind of how it works. So anyways, that's my story. Took me a long time to come to the realization that life just deals us lemons. We got to make some lemonades out of it. So that's what happened. So anyways, with that being said, let's get into the 5 topics this evening. All right. First, how do we access the programs? There is a link here, nodownpayment.app. Okay. First, there are 2 different types of programs. There's either down payment assistance or grants. Now, down payment assistance typically has a repayment component to it. So, in other words, chances are you might have to repay something on it, or it is a forgivable down payment assistance. About 70% of them are forgivable. So they may give you money for the down payment. You own the house 3, 4, 5 years, and then you get to keep all the money. There are some programs, 30% of them, you actually have to either repay during the course of the loan or when you sell the house. Okay. Then the other side of it, there's grant money. Grant money is free money in my mind. And I'm always going to try to tap you into the grant money first. Then if we can't get the grant money, we're going to go over to down payment assistance. Then we're going to look for down payment assistance programs that are forgivable in those 3, 4, 5 years. If not, then we'll make sure that you're aware. But either way, my goal is to get people in with as very little money out of pocket as possible. Now, how do we tap into these programs? Well, there is a website that I have. It's called nodownpayment.app. Now, I understand that this website can be a little quirky with some of the mobile devices. So keep in mind, I understand that. So if you have an issue with that, just reach out to me. I'm happy to do it for you. But you can go out there. You'll see at the top here, nodownpayment.app. Just see if you're eligible. You just enter your information. Yeah, let me move this down. It might move a little easier. We'll clear the screen. Here, I'm going to put in the address that I grew up at. I grew up at, there we go, 16801. Oh, it's not in here. And that, oh, there it is, on Lamphere in Detroit. 48219. So anybody knows the area? It's a lot of people know of it as Brightmoor. So anyways, I know the city quite well. I did see I will get you the links, and let me do this before. I've got a couple of people asking for links on the credit repair webinar. There we go. Do me a favor, please bookmark the credit repair webinar. Okay. I have not updated the dates yet. So if you log in there right now, it's going to show last Saturday's date. Now, I've got a couple, it's going to be probably till the second week in June before I do my next one. Okay. So what happens is when you enter the information, click get details, it's going to give you a list. So here you can see there's 24 different programs that are available. Just put your information in. Click get program details and it'll be emailed to you. Then when you tap in here, let's go. Okay. Here is and you're going to get a list. It's going to look just, oops, not like that one. You are going to get a list that looks just like this. And that list is going to tell you, so for example, this area in the city has 24 down payment assistance programs or grants. One of them's up to $30,000 right now. So you've got one, state of Michigan, 25, 10,000 from the state, 5% from Chinoa. Here, the Federal Loan Bank is offering $30,000 on a second mortgage to buy in that 48219 area, or at least where that house is located. So that's how you tap into it. I'm going to actually put that app in the chat box right now. And here we go. Okay. So if you know of if you have any friends or family members, please pass this app along. I'm trying to get this out to the masses. I'm going to start advertising and pushing this link to as many people as possible so they can understand that these programs do exist, and just to give people the type of hope that they need. So I find that that's the big thing right now. I mean, I don't want to hype it up, but I find that sometimes my job is building hope with people. And if, as long as we have that hope with some reasonable expectations, life can be quite good. Okay. So that's how we tap into the different down payment assistance programs. Any questions on that app? All right. Next thing, qualifications. What types of qualifications do you need to qualify for these programs? Well, there are four things that are within your control. Okay. Number one is income. We need to prove your income in order to get you approved. So a lot of these have income restrictions, although those have increased dramatically. Actually, in the last 72 hours, that part of it has changed quite a bit. Very forgiving. So a lot of the income restrictions, as long as you're making below 70,000, a lot of them qualify. Half maybe below 100. They do need to have some job history. Okay, doesn't have to be the same job, but we just have to be working for at least a couple of years. Okay, if you have time off, for example, I talked to a lady earlier today that took 6 months off to get her education and get some certifications for her job. That's absolutely fine. She's only been back on her job for 9 months. So that means that we have to go back and get an additional 15 months because we need 24 months work history. So we just go prior to her 6 months education and then go back 15 months from there to give us a total of 24 months. For W-2 people, it's not very challenging. Now, if you're 1099 or self-employed, then we need to have tax returns. Okay. We may require them on the W-2s depending upon what program you're going into. Now, from an income standpoint, they don't like to see more than 45% of your income go to your house payment. That's your new house payment, and whatever debts are showing up on your credit reports or maybe coming out of your bank statements. So if you have, let's just say, an income of, let's say, $4,000 a month. Okay. So 45% of that is going to be, I think it's like 1,800 area. Yeah, about 1,800 a month. If we subtract, 400 for a car, takes it down to 1,400, maybe 100 for credit cards, take it down to 1,300. $1,300 right now is buying about $150,000 house. So, and right now in the Detroit metropolitan area where I tend to focus, in Wayne, Oakland, Macomb counties, the average 2-bedroom apartment is between $1,300 to $1,350 a month right now. So I always rephrase things around those 2-bedroom apartments. For credit, minimum credit score 580. The one thing that they do look at is they don't like to see recent late payments. So if you have recent late payments on auto loans or credit cards, it becomes a lot harder. If we have collection accounts, isolated incidents, that's fine. If we have one late payment, that's usually fine. It's when we have multiple recent late payments, we run into some issues. Okay. And there's another link to my credit repair webinar. It's credit.nodownpaymentrequired/home. That's the link to my credit repair webinar. It's in the chat box right now. Now, as far as amount of money you need for closing or need to get the deal done, I should say, I always tell people plan on at least a couple of $1,000s, say 3 to be safe. But as you could tell from some of the examples that I gave you earlier, we can really sharpen the pencil if needed. And I get it. There's never extra money. And most of the people that I talk to, they weren't really planning on buying. So sometimes I need to structure things that way. So let's say, for example, you are one of those people. We could actually get things done with a $500 deposit. Maybe we have to pay for a home inspection of $400. The rest of it we'll just kind of do along the way and try to push it to closing as much as we can. I try to work with everybody's budget because I know that it's most of the people, like I said, I work with, I'm kind of catching them off guard. I'm just opening up their eyes. They never realized that these programs existed, and maybe they never met someone that was like myself, where I'm happy to help people tap into them and get you across the finish line. So anything to keep people from renting right now. I just find that the rental market is just, it's a real pain. It's a problem. Right now, I just read a report that at least the city of Detroit is short of units. That means 1,000 families, roofs over their heads, aisles or whatever, temporary housing, not pretty. So very, very stressful situation on that side. And I always get a call or two a month from people that are qualified and living in temporary housing. And when you start living in some of these hotels, I don't have to tell you how expensive that can be. So, all right. The other thing we want to look at besides the assets is the property. The properties have to be in good habitable condition. Okay. In other words, they have to have a functioning kitchen and a functioning bathroom. Cosmetic things I'm not as concerned about. Okay. It doesn't have to be updated. It just has to be habitable. And I do run across a fair amount of houses where we might go in and unfortunately somebody may have taken the furnace or the water heater. That stuff happens. We'll make sure that has to be installed before closing. So don't let that scare you off. Okay. We'll make sure that everything is up and running prior to closing. More importantly, the lenders will not let you buy a house unless it's got furnace, water heater, and everything's running smoothly. Okay. So those are the qualifications for income, credit, assets, and the property's condition. Next thing, how do we structure these transactions? Well, I'm not going to spend a ton of time because I'm going to go over if you look on the left-hand side of your screen, this is where the numbers kind of shake out. So if you're looking at a $150,000 house, and let's say the property taxes are $2,000, the closing costs of the lender are $2,000, your homeowner's insurance $1,500, title insurance might be about $1,200. The total closing costs to buy this fictitious house are going to be $6,700. Now, if it does require a down payment, let's just say we're going to use the state's $10,000 program. That's like, that program's always available. So if it requires a down payment of 3%, which is $6,000, look at the lower left-hand corner here. The total costs, closing costs are $6,700. The total to purchase this fictitious house would be $12,700. If we subtract the down payment assistance of $10,000, that means you're only going to need $2,700. Now, on this program, I could ask the seller to pay $1,000. That gets you down to $1,700. I could actually, depending upon what lender, there are so many levers for us to pull and buttons to push. I've got lenders that will give you $500 if you put $50 and open up a checking account. That can be applied to it. There are a lot of different ways. There's lender credits. There's additional seller concessions. There's a lot of ways for me to get that number down for you, depending upon your situation, number one, and depending upon how open the seller is to it and how motivated they are. Now, the payments on this house, if we look in the lower middle section, estimated payments on a $150,000 house, you'll see the principal and interest might be $948. The taxes would be a couple of hundred. Homeowners insurance $125. Mortgage insurance $75. The payment might be about $1,350 a month. Okay, just about what people would pay for that two-bedroom apartment I mentioned earlier. So, do you want to be an apartment or a house? It depends. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot to be said for renting. If I was a single person and didn't want to take care of my yard and I could just put my key in the door and do whatever I wanted to, that'd be great. If I had a landlord that took care of all the things they were supposed to. We're just not running into that right now. Okay. All right. Next item. Any questions on some of the numbers there? All right. Next item, how do I find homes that qualify for these programs? Well, there are a few different ways to look at it because this is the hard part, is finding those good quality homes. I always tell people, please start looking for houses as soon as possible. I'm going to give you a link to my website right now. MICitySearch.com. I want you to start looking for houses as soon as possible. It's never too early. And the reason I say that is it's not a matter if we can get you done, it's when and how long it's going to take. I find that the quicker you start looking and get comfortable with the prices and get your mind wrapped around how your money spends, when we find that good house or great house that you want to make an offer on, you're not going to think twice. You'll know the value's there and you'll just jump. Okay. So that's why I say it's never too early to start looking. Now, as far as finding quality houses and not overpaying, I find that the houses that are brand new hitting the market, people are still overpaying a little bit, especially if they've got a little bit of lipstick on them. And I don't really like that expression, but I haven't found anything that's close to it. There are a fair amount of people out there that are, I don't know, they're kind of flippers. They just go in there, buy houses, put a little lipstick on them, and then sell them and pass them off as quality. I am not about lipstick. I'm about good quality houses. I want a roof that's got a few years on it. I want a basement that's dry or predictable. I don't want headaches is the best way to put it. I've been doing this way too long. I got my real estate license back in 1987. So that is, I don't know, 87, that's 13 and 20, 30, whatever, 30 something years, 37 years. So 38 years, I guess. So I have been doing this too long to deal with headaches. And what I mean by that is I do not like phone calls that say, hey, John, guess what? The older I get, I don't like surprises. And I know most of the people I work with don't like surprises. So I don't want you to think that we're going to do anything other than try and find the best quality house for you just for that reason alone. Okay. There may not be anything that strikes a chord with you today, so we just keep looking. There's going to be something out there that's going to be quality, that's going to be a good fit for you. Patience and persistence is the key to the game in my mind. So we want to focus, in my opinion, on that older inventory. Try to focus on the homes that have been on the market for at least 2 to 3 weeks. What's happening right now is people are running at the houses as soon as they hit the market. They're bidding them up a little bit, and then they're realizing either they overpaid for them and they find a way to get out of them, or the inspection goes bad. They'll pick on something that really doesn't need to be picked on because they overpaid, or maybe the bank gets involved and the home doesn't appraise. So there's a lot of reasons that these deals come apart. That's why I say, look at the ones that are 2 to 3 weeks. And then we want to look at them. Why are they still on the market? We can usually tell by the photos. I can tell by looking at the history, whether it was off the market and coming back on. So I also find that if it's a house that's coming back on the market, the sellers are a little bit easier to work with because now they've experienced the pain of actually selling a house and having to put it back on the market. And now maybe their price was too high before and they're going to start chasing the market. Maybe the house has deferred maintenance, or the taxes are too high, or there might have been assessments that no one knew about. These are things that we can do some homework on and find out on that older inventory. And like I said, the sellers are going to be a little bit more flexible because it's been on the market for a few weeks. So in my mind, it's key that you look at the images online. Try to zoom in on the roof. Make sure it looks like it's in decent shape. There's nothing cheap about a roof right now. I don't care where the house is or what the size is. Even this houses, a bungalow, 1,000 square foot bungalow. Heck, 5-10 years ago, I was paying $4,000 for a roof on one of those things. Now they're $8,000. It's ridiculous what people are having to pay. So we want to make sure that you're not going to get stuck with that kind of bill. So we want to make sure there's some life on the roof. Look at the ceilings in the photos. The ceilings will tell you if there are any leaks from above. Most people start to look at the furnishings, the cupboards in the bathrooms and kitchens. Look at the ceilings in those rooms. That's going to tell the story. Look at the floors. Are the floors updated? Do they look straight? Look at the basement walls. Do those basement walls where they meet the floor have watermarks on them? Okay, those are things that those are the type of eyes that you want to look through to make sure that we're not wasting time going after houses that might have some baggage. Okay, so that's how I locate quality homes, and it tends to work well for people and kind of saves a little bit of disappointment that way. Next thing I want to talk about, how do we find experienced help? First and foremost, for those of you, hang on, I'm going to give you the top 5 programs. I've got that off in a corner over here. I'm going to give that to you in just a moment. But before I do that, you do not want to go to a lender that doesn't want to help you to the extent of actually going out of their way to get your deal done. Some of these lenders that offer these programs, they're not engaged. Okay. Or they don't know how to do these programs. We don't want somebody to be your learning partner. So for that reason, I want to hook you with an experienced lender that knows how to get you approved for these down payment assistance programs and grants, and will get you across the finish line. It'll also allow me to let me make the introduction for you so I can share your story, communicate what it is, and when it comes down to it, if there's any hiccups, and for whatever reason, I don't want to paint a rosy picture. There's always hiccups, okay? There's little things that we can't foresee, but I can always hold those people accountable if I refer you to them, okay? Because I'll get people that'll stray once a month to different lenders and they won't share as much with me, and I can't hold them nearly as accountable, okay? So let me make that introduction for you. So my name is John Collins. I don't know if I told you that earlier. I am a realtor, okay? I specialize in getting you pre-approved for these programs. So I'm going to identify all the programs that you qualify for. I do that on our strategy call, okay? So let me get that link in here for you. So here is, I've got it for some reason when I am on there. There we go. I just put a link in the chat room to book a call. Okay. So I'm going to help you identify all the programs you qualify for. And then I'm going to connect you with the lender that more often than not, I want to make sure that you qualify for more than one. And the reason I want to do that is I want a plan B. If plan A doesn't work out, I want a plan B. The last thing I want to do is get you and your family excited for a move and then have the rug pulled out. Okay. So always a plan B. And the only reason the rug would get pulled out is maybe they run out of grant money. Okay. So for that reason, I like to have a plan B. I'm going to help you structure it so we get in with as little money out of pocket and negotiate it right in there and create the most favorable contract terms for you, and help you navigate the process all the way to mortgage approval and keep those numbers in line. Every now and then, I'll get a lender that may come back and the numbers, hey, that's not what you told me in the beginning, or that's not what John shared me in the beginning. And then I've got to insert myself in the conversation to hold them accountable. Okay. I shared with you before, I spent time in the mortgage world. I was in the mortgage world for over 25 years. That's how I know how to tap into this database and how to coach you across the finish line and tell you how to get pre-approved. So I'm very confident in that process. Okay. So that's why I like to put myself in their shoes and in your shoes and figure out what's the best game plan and then refer you out. Okay. Now keep in mind, I work off referrals. Okay. So if you have any friends or family members that can benefit from this type of help, please let me know. I'm all about that. Okay. Next thing I want to go over, I'm going to go over the top 5 programs. And I know I'm running a little bit long here, but I think it's important that you see some of the things that are out there. These are programs that are available for everyone. Okay, these ones are the most lenient for credit right now. Chinoa Fund, minimum credit score 600. There's no income limits, no debt to income ratios, no restrict. Give you the down payment. Very easy to qualify for this. They don't give you the most easiest ones to get approved for. Number 4 on my list, First State Bank will give you $7,500 that can be used for your down payment and your closing costs. We have to be buying in a moderate or low income area. You got to be a first-time home buyer, 600 credit scores. Okay, so great program at First State Bank. Next one is through Flagstar Bank. They have what's called a destination home. This is actually one of my favorite programs. I do this one all the time. No money down, conventional loan. I like it because there's no mortgage insurance, so it's going to keep your payment quite low. Minimum credit scores of 600. I've got people on this program with no credit scores. If you happen to be, and I actually talked to somebody earlier today, no credit scores showing up, we're going to be able to get them done. We have ways to build a credit profile with alternative trade lines. And I go over that in my credit building webinar. So if you have no credit, go to my credit building webinar. I'll show you how to buy a house using these down payment assistance programs and grants. The other nice thing about Flagstar's destination home, the seller can pay up to 4% of your closing costs. So if we get a motivated seller, you can get in very little money out of pocket. Next program, number 2, PRMI Empowered DPA program. This is a forgivable second, no interest on the second. So you never make any payments, no monthly payments. They're going to give you 3.5% based on the appraised value. So if we get a house that's worth a little bit more, you're going to get a little bit more money. Again, 600 minimum credit score. You don't have to be a first-time home buyer. No income restrictions either. And you can buy 2 family units on this particular one. And the number 1 program, National Faith. National Faith will go down to a 580 credit score. They are running out of money, though. I just checked today. They were about just under $700,000 left. This one is giving just under $14,000. It'll cover all of your down payment, and the rest can be used for your closing costs. This is the one in Wayne County, and all the cities are listed right there. Great program. So those are my top 5 right now for people that may not have perfect credit. So if your credit scores are 580 or higher, we've got options for you. I always tell people, if your credit scores are 550 or higher, we should be talking. If you go to my credit repair webinar, getting people's credit scores up 60 points in 60 days is actually not too challenging. Okay. I do it routinely for people. I just need to know your situation. Okay. So what have we gone? We've gone over this week. We've gone over how to access 2,300 programs through the no down payment app. We've gone over the qualifications that it takes for each one of these programs, or for most of them, I should say, how to structure the deals to get in with just a couple $1,000s out of pocket, how to find quality homes that'll fit on these programs, and how to get good free experience representation. That's where myself and my team come in. So the different programs. One thing I want to share with you right now here is that no down payment app, no down payment app. All right. What kind of questions do people have out there? Let me do this. I am going to get you a call. So I am a big fan of getting that call link. So make sure you book a call with me. Okay, so I'm going to go through here. What type of loans is tied to the programs with getting the homes? Okay, well, Sharon, there are, if you go in, there's just way too many. Well, I guess maybe typically they could be a conventional loan, they could be an FHA loan, they could be a VA loan sometimes. Uh, you can actually do these with a rural development loan. So there are a lot of different types of loans that could be tied to these. So typically what we want to do is once I learn your situation and put myself in your shoes, we're going to figure, okay, do we need to do an FHA loan? Okay, then I'm going to tie you to a lender that will do the down payment assistance or a grant based on an FHA underwriting guidelines. Now, if we want to start stacking different grant programs, for example, like the first person I think I had was either Emily or April. They had very good credit. Their scores were above a 680. They were able to stack the $25,000 down payment assistance with a $5,000 grant, $500 grant. So they were able to stack several grants on top of that. So now that was a conventional product. When we start stacking things like that, it has to be a conventional product. FHA, they just don't have as many. I hope that answers your question. Okay. Good. Looks like we got a lot of people in southeastern Michigan this evening. Okay. Asia, thank you for scheduling a call. Anybody else have any questions out there? A lot of new names. So good. Angelique, what kind of questions do you have? Okay, can you use the money to buy the house in 10, putting them on a lot? Not quite sure what you're asking, Asia. So are you talking about maybe doing a manufactured home and putting it on a lot? Um, these loans don't really work well with, they don't work for construction processes if that's, so in other words, buying a vacant lot and putting something on top of it, that's not going to work with these programs. Those are tough to do right now, actually. I'm not sure if that's what you were asking. Okay. Well, we can go over it on your call. What if you have the FHA loan already? Can you get help with putting the down payment? Yes, Angelique. Who is the, well, it depends. Not all lenders do the down payment assistance and grant programs. So it depends on who you have the FHA loan with. So are you saying you already own a home that you have an FHA loan on, or you're already approved with someone to purchase something with an FHA loan? Okay. Why Angelique's putting that in there? So you're already approved. Okay. So you're already approved for a loan. Now, who is that? I would ask, who is the approval with? Because, like I said, not all lenders do these programs. No, these programs don't work with commercial properties. Unfortunately, I don't do commercial. So Venetia, are you looking for something strictly commercial, or are you looking for a multi-use where it's both? Or are you thinking it's a multi-unit rental? So, but it is tough to get commercial financing right now. Okay, Sharon. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I look forward to connecting with you. Okay. Well, Angelique, you might want to, it has an attached home. Now, is it, I guess I would say, schedule a call with me. I'll have to pull it up and see what it's zoned. If it's zoned commercial, unfortunately, there's not much we can do. If it's a multi-use property that's zoned residential, that may be a different story, but it's an uphill battle. But the first step would be schedule a call. Give me, if I have the address, I can run that through the public records and we'll see how it's zoned and then take it from there. Okay, Venetia? Okay. Angelique, do you have the name of the lender for yourself? I can tell you whether they offer down payment assistance or grants. I mean, you could always ask the lender that you're with. It's just, I find that if you're a first-time home buyer, and this is where I kind of get a little frustrated sometimes with the lending world, and I believe me, I spent a lot of time in there, is they have access to these programs and they know you're a first-time home buyer. Why don't they mention them to you? That's what really bothers me. I get, without fail, I always get people that are midstream under contract and they want to tap into the different programs and it's too late. So it's important that we do this up front. So, okay. All right. Any other questions out there? Okay. Well, I certainly appreciate all of your questions this evening. Appreciate your time. I hope you got some value out of it. So if you have any questions, let me put in, here is my cell phone number. I will put this in the chat box. It's 248-252-7283. You can always reach me through the number that's been texting you for the webinars and the reminders. That number works. I just don't like to miss calls. More importantly, I don't like to have a ton of calls to return at the end of the day. So I try to return those calls as swiftly as possible. And my cell phone number, that's my leash. I take it everywhere with me. So anyways, I thank you all very much for your time this evening and your questions, and hope our paths cross again real soon. So, and please don't forget to schedule those calls. My automated system is going to start texting you to remind you about that as well too. The Asia, you're welcome. Thank you for attending. Have a good night, everyone.